take a seat. Good morning. How's everyone today? Excellent. Welcome. I'm Jen Blandos. I'm an entrepreneurship consultant and advisor with UN Women, and I'm going to be hosting the session for you today. And today is a session that we've had in the works for a while with UN Women, because it is something that when we talk to entrepreneurs, we get asked a lot, and that is getting investment in your business, and how do you go about doing it, and who do you talk to, and what do you need to have set up within your business. So we're really fortunate today that we have two experts in the field who are going to be here sharing their expertise with you, and then we're going to have a very engaging and interactive session where we'll give you opportunities to stand up and tell us a bit about your business, and you'll be able to get some feedback from our specialists as well. So I'm going to kick off the session by introducing you to both of our specialists. The first is Walid Faza, and Walid is a co-founder and COO of MSA Capital, and they are an absolutely massive venture capital fund, but Walid has an array of experience which he's going to be able to share with you, which I think will be very valuable. And then we also have Sonia Gokhale, who is here from VentureSouq, who also does a lot of work in the region. And actually, when we were talking inside the Majlis room, that both Walid and Sonia have worked on projects together as well. So it's great that we have their collective expertise. So I would love it. Let's go sit up in the front, and let's kick off this morning's session. Stick the guy in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing I'd like to talk about with both of you is just to have an understanding about where we are at the moment with the funding scene and what everybody in the room as entrepreneurs can expect. Maybe, Walid, do you want to give your perspective on that?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all, and thanks for making it out here. I've been in venture capital and in funding for about 12 years in the region. So that started back in 2009. There was a company called Maktoob that got bought out by an international company called Yahoo for around $160 million. And that was like a eureka moment that happened in the ecosystem where you can actually build something from the region in technology, because I invest in technology, where international companies would come and actually acquire it for a considerable sum of money. Back in that day, technology was still a ho-hum kind of industry. People weren't sure if it's going to work out, or people are actually going to buy things online. You know, it's cool to have a website, but is it really necessary? I have a sales force on the ground that is doing all my sales. And then, lo and behold, 12 years later, where we are today, also post-COVID, everything is on your mobile. And that's how the new generation is going to live their life, if not go into a metaverse or a Web3 or virtual reality, and where it's going to go from there. So just by the nature of how we've seen technology evolve and human behavior evolve, funding has erupted in a big way, right? Where investors were a little bit skeptical. I'm not sure if I want to invest in this. It seems like it's high risk. Today you have governments, you have institutions, you have corporates, high net worth individuals, global funds coming in and literally pouring money on entrepreneurs. So I just want to say that, you know, for all the business founders and entrepreneurs that are in the room, there hasn't been a better time to be an entrepreneur and to start your own business ever in the history of time. Because the amount of data and the amount of information that's available and being connected to investors has never been at a pinnacle in the Middle East as it is today. So, I mean, congratulations for thinking about starting a business, because your probability of success or getting funding is at the highest time ever. So yeah, it's been great. So maybe Sonia, you can tell me what you think about.
It's a good time to be an entrepreneur right now.
I think so. I agree.
Yeah.
My name is Sonia Gokhale. I'm one of the founders of VentureSouq. VentureSouq is an early stage early stage venture capital firm. We invest in early stage companies, usually tech companies, and we launched the region's first, especially in the GCC, fintech fund, fintech financial services and technology mixed. We've been investing for a long time. We started, I think, really in earnest investing in 2016 as a group, and you're exactly right. The evolution is significant. You can even think in our portfolio, we actually started investing outside of the region. We're much more global in our portfolio because at the time that's where the opportunity was, and that's where a lot of our investors wanted to put their funds. Now it's completely switched. We have a local fintech fund because the opportunity is now here, and timing that was kind of because serendipitous in multiple reasons, and as you said, COVID has caused everything to go digital, online. We probably use more apps post-COVID than we did pre-COVID because I buy everything online now. You know, from my groceries to my dry cleaning, everything's done on an app, which wasn't the case before COVID. So that has accelerated things significantly, and we've seen the funding kind of mirror that. The amount of funding that has gone into the region in early stage tech companies is phenomenal, and that has brought up huge amounts of talent. So people are now quitting, fancy jobs at banks and in order to build companies because the funding is there, and we're seeing a higher quality group of entrepreneurs and a higher group of companies coming through our pipeline. So as you said, fantastic time to be an entrepreneur, fantastic time to be raising money.
Yeah, I just want to say a few more things. I'm also mindful that maybe not everybody in the room has a tech business. I mean, tech is sexy today. You see valuations. We were investors in Careem, and then Uber comes and buys it for $3.1 billion. I mean, these numbers are just incredible. And we see that a lot in tech. And today, you have, reports from Magnet, and you see daily funding happening. But what if you're not a tech business, right? What if you're not focused on this hyper growth and hyper scalability that tech kind of is synonymous with? And I just want to say that there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are not VC backed, are not tech entrepreneurs, but are solving serious problems. And they're super passionate about it. And even though you don't get a lot of funds that might look at that, I think there's a lot of funding that's available that you can tap into. So I just want to be very mindful and tell you that what I'm saying in terms of positivity about funding is not just solely isolated to tech, just because it's getting all the buzz and we're seeing all the billions of dollars coming into it. It actually does trickle down. One of the main reasons why I switched from WAMDA to MSA Capital, so WAMDA was a regional fund, is because I consciously wanted to get international capital to come into the region. Because once you've got that going, then the flywheel of funding makes sense because all the investors are making their money back, and the entrepreneurs are getting more funding, and they have the ability to have a network outside of the region, which is really important because if we just isolate ourselves just in the Middle East, it's not going to work. So maybe I just want to start off by setting the landscape of funding so that it doesn't seem like it's this magical thing, and how do I get there? And if somebody tells me no, does that mean my business sucks? And I should shut it down and do something else. And I just want to tell you that companies go through a life cycle. Shall I?
Yeah, no, that would be great. I was just wondering if I could interrupt you quickly because I was a little bit naughty in the beginning in my introduction. And for those of you who follow some of the UN Women sessions that we do online, it's really important that for UN Women that they get metrics to see how valuable today's session was. And so I've been asked if the team in the back don't mind sticking on a PowerPoint, and if you don't mind getting your phone out, that they have a really quick survey for you to do Just before we kick things off, which is why I was like, don't talk about funding yet, because they would like to know how much you know about funding right now. Team at the back, can we have the PowerPoint presentation that's got the QR code? That would be great, because if you get your phone out and if you can just answer really quick question about your knowledge of funding, that would be amazing. And while the team are doing that as well, the other thing too, I think you all know the social media handles for NAMA Women Advancement and also for UN Women. So please, if you do any social media pictures, that they would love it if you could tag them as well. Hiba, you're in the back from UN Women, or Melanie, can you please get them to do the QR code?
Is there going to be a survey after the?
And there's a survey after.
So you're
There we
basically
go.
testing us to see if you learned anything.
Exactly. So you're going to let Walid and Sonia know how well they do. Sorry.
That's pretty cool.
You can all grab it from the screen there. Okay.
Do I need to get out of the way?
No. Well, you can start. Let's talk about funding now. Sorry about that brief
let's segue a little bit to what Jen just said. This is data. This is measurable data of how something performs before and after. And up until technology was able to allow us to do this with mobile phones, with QR codes, almost instantaneous in real time, it was very difficult to get that data. But now it's available. And that measurable data is one of the most important things that you will need to grow your business and to get funding for your business. So from my perspective as an investor, when someone tells me a beautiful, passionate story about what they want to do, but is not mirrored by substantial market research or data, hard findings, then it's not going to pass. And today saying, there is no data, I don't know where to find it, nobody's done the research about it, it's almost impossible, is not true. And I don't know how you feel about this, but any entrepreneur that tells me that means that they are not fully knowledgeable and vested in what they are doing. Because even if the data is not available on a website when you Google it, there are many ways that you can obtain that data. And what data shows, and hopefully we'll see the results after this meeting, is that it's measurable and you can prove your hypothesis. So maybe I'll stop there if you want to say anything about that importance.
About data, well, if we're talking about pitching or when you're talking to investors there and they're looking to invest in your company, I think yes, you're absolutely right. So we're judging, and it's bad to say, but we're judging our potential investments from the minute that we have our first contact with them, and that's like you're down to the email, the first call, the first message, your first meeting, and you knowing your company, your competitive landscape, your TAM, your TAM meaning your tangible market, is huge for us. If you don't know this, because it exists there, you're not creating a new market. You're working within a market, and there's other people that you're competing with. If you don't know that, and if you don't have that data, that's something that it would never pass one of our ICs as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We sit up here as investors, but actually we don't know better than you. There is not an investor that is going to understand your business better than you, because you wake up in the morning, you think about it, you're hiring people, you're on the front lines of what's happening in your industry, and you know this better than we do. So that means several things. It means that you need to show us that you know things super well for us to be convinced. At the end of the day, this is about relationship building. We can talk about technology and funding and everything else. It's about human beings interacting with each other, agreeing, aligning on a vision, and then putting money and effort to build a company. So it's human interaction. And we are not going to be able to see what's inside your head unless you're able to communicate that in a very effective way to get us on board. So we see thousands of business plans a year. No joke. In 2009, I think we used to say, we'd see around 20 a month, and that was a lot. Today, I get 5 or 6 a day, if not more. And that's me, just one person. We are 3 partners, and we have a whole team of MSA people, right? So there are tons and tons of entrepreneurs that are pitching tons of ideas, and we have to sift through all of that. So if you're able to say it very clearly, the way that you communicate and let us know that you understand your business better than us goes a long way. That's number one. Number two, about us not knowing anything. If a VC tells you no, or a funder tells you no, it doesn't mean anything. It's a data point. This person or this fund said no. Doesn't mean you have to change your career. It doesn't mean that you have to fire people. It doesn't mean that. That's not the lesson here. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I feel there's a lot of stigma about even trying to ask for money, fearing rejection.
And I was going to say as well, when I speak with companies who have been successful for getting funding, that oftentimes they'll say that they've had to pitch 5, 6, 10, 15 times, sometimes more, until they find that right investor in their business. And every time that they're doing it, they're learning along the way. And I'm sure the first couple of pitches that you do are not very good compared to where you are after pitching for 15 times as well.
The funny thing is we actually have to do it ourselves as VCs. We pitch our investors, and then they give us funding, and then we get pitched by entrepreneurs, and we give them funding. So we all kind of have to do this. We're all trying to convince people to give us funding in some way or another. So we know what you're going through as well, and in terms of trying to get funding, it's hard, and we do have to knock on as many doors as you do to get our funding. So we feel that. So we're sitting in the same seat as you most of the time, and everybody does not like fundraising because it takes away from the time you're building your business, but it's kind of a necessary evil in order to grow your business. But I'd like to add just a few things that I noticed from the women perspective when you're pitching. Women, and these are tendencies, and I'm not all women, so I don't want to generalize. But we tend to be a lot more conservative when we're talking about our businesses. So we don't like to exaggerate, or we're a little bit self-deprecating, or we notice the men on the other side do not do these. So they come in with these like boisterous pitches of this is the best company you're ever going to see. We'll list statistics. When a woman gives a statistic, it's bang on, down to the decimal point. Sometimes on the other side, we'll see exaggerate statistics or exaggerate this. But sometimes, you know what, it's actually something that's good to do because you're building in a business. It's an amazing business that you're building. You're passionate about it. Sometimes you just need to show it and show what you're doing and how great it is and how this is going to be the next thing. And that's just sometimes I feel that we see a lot with our women entrepreneurs are a little more kind of, they're nervous or conservative with how they're pitching. But be strong and talk about your company as as passionate as you are about it. We want to hear about it. We want to hear your passion, and then we're looking to hear that passion. You're not over exaggerating your company at all. We'll look at your numbers and we'll determine that on our own. But we like to hear that passion from the companies as we're seeing, because it differentiates you from the rest. Because as you said, we get a lot of companies. Yeah. We're seeing a lot of companies every day on a daily basis. So there's always something you need to do to be differentiating. The fact that you are women is a differentiating factor because we see a lot more male-run businesses than female-run businesses.
Yeah.
I was going to say, would we be able to maybe take a step back and look at the beginning? Because oftentimes when I speak with entrepreneurs, I hear from them, I want to get funding. But then they haven't actually really thought about what that means or what kind of funding or what they're going to use that for. Could you maybe, and I'd love to hear from both of you, that for a business that would eventually like to get funding, what do they need to do first to have their business so it would be something that someone like yourselves or another organization would look at them and go, oh yeah, okay, yeah, well, we're interested in funding you?
Yeah, you have to know your business really well, and you have to know who you're speaking to very well. It's almost, you do that in life regardless of what you're doing, and funding is no different. You need to understand your audience, and you need to understand your message. And those are the very basic things, but you'll be very surprised how many people have pitched us ideas and have no idea that I don't invest in green tech, and they schedule a meeting and they try to pitch me on it, and I say, look, I want to try to help you, but you're not speaking to the right investor. So I think a lot of times you're going to save yourself a lot of effort if you really do your research and find out. So on that, just very quickly, you have a dream, you wake up in the morning and you think that you're going to start a company and you're super excited about it, and that's where it starts. If that's where you are, you're not going to come to a venture capitalist, okay? Because that's further down the line. So when you have that dream and you start putting pen to paper and you start thinking about it, you first have to sell it to the first person. And if they see it, then you'll start moving it forward and forward until you have a corporation, until you exit, and so on and so forth. So that is kind of the journey of a company's lifetime or life cycle. And each one of these little phases has a different investor, right? So somebody who woke up in the morning and said, oh, I have a great idea, it's going to change the world, they're not ready for a venture capitalist, an institutional investor. But they might be ready for their uncle that loves them, or their rich grandfather, because they love who they are and they want to support them, or a rich dad, or whatever it is, right? So you have friends and families and fools at the very beginning, right? People that are going to give you money because of who you are. And they know you're probably 99.9% are going to lose that money, and they're fine with that, right? An institutional investor is not going to be fine with that. So after you've gotten some money and you're able to convince your mother or somebody who is, not as business acumen-minded as you are, of your strategy or what you want to do. Why do I say that? Because simplicity goes a very long way. If you cannot simply explain your idea, that means you don't know your idea well enough. And if you give us 45 minutes of technical jargon, I can't help you. I'm not a tech guy. I mean, I invest in tech, but I don't understand code, for example. Right? So getting that message across so that you can entice other people to join you on your vision is the second step. And I think there you have incubators, accelerators, and angel investors. So that's where you want to go to. You've articulated it, you're ready to present it, and you can go to people outside of your initial family and friends.
So I'm going to, we've
If
had
I
a bit
can,
of
if I can add just a little bit. Sure.
I was going to go to you because I think Walid's given us some investor jargon. And I know sometimes entrepreneurs don't always understand those different types of funding. And I was wondering, maybe Sonia, if you would be able to explain a little bit about those different types of funding.
Yeah.
That would be
so when you think about your company is now, it's 100%. Of one thing. Ownership of that company is 100%. If you have a partner, maybe you own that, you split that company, maybe 50% with your partner, or you could vary those percentages. It could be 45, 55, whatever you've decided with your partner. Now you're saying, okay, I want to raise some funding and build my business because I'm at a point where yes, I've shown I have a product or a service or an app, and people are interested in it, but I need some funding to really make this grow. I need to hire a team. I need to do this, but I don't have the revenue in there yet to support that. Excellent. You're at a great position. You can now look for funding. But what does that mean? So now this business that you and your partner own 100% of, you're going to ask for somebody to give you funding, and they're going to take a portion of that business. So you're going to basically say, I'm bringing in a partner who's going to own a portion of my business with me, and they're going to give me some funding for that. So they will do that based on what. So you're going to say, okay, my business is worth X amount of money. Let's say it's $1 million, and someone's going to come in and say, I'm going to give you $100,000 of that. Now they own a percentage of that business, and so that's how you grow, and that's how you grow your business. So that's why, as Walid said, it's very important to know which investors you're talking to and who those investors are and how they can help, and if they are specific to your industry or your sector, because once you do that, now this person owns a portion of the business that you are building. You're with them for a long time. It's like it's like a marriage. And so and if you choose the right partners of who's funding you, these are people that will help you grow. So especially with your early stage angels that come in, their job is to open doors for you. They go through your business plan together, help you understand your business better, and help you and give you their connections to help you grow. So talking to the right people, bringing in the right people involved is very, very, very important. So you should be as picky as we are as investors into companies. You should be as picky as who you want to bring onto what we call your cap table. So that's your ownership of your business.
Excellent. And how would a business know? I'd love to hear from both of you that they would be ready for funding. Like, would it be that they would reach a certain turnover? Is there a rule of thumb? Because I think sometimes as well that there's questions from small businesses. When do I know that it's right to ask for funding?
There's various different investors look at companies in different stages. As Walid mentioned, first you're going to your friends and family and angels. So there's some people out there that write angel checks so they write small checks into many different companies. It could be something like a 25K check or a 100K check, but they write small checks across many different companies, and they're called angels because they really are angels, and they help you grow, but they come in very, very early on. So if you try to find like a group of angels, which there are a lot in Dubai and Abu Dhabi that are looking to invest in your companies, that's kind of the first place you're looking if this is your first time you're looking for funding. And then once you go to that round and you continue to build your business and you have some traction and you maybe have some revenue, so we tend to look at companies that are revenue generating. But there are some VCs that go very early on. There's some VCs that are seed stage, idea stage. So it's knowing those investors and knowing when they come in. So one of the first questions you ask a VC is, when do you typically come in? What's your average check size? That's helped because we give our little introduction to companies when we talk to them, and it's good for them to know where we operate and how that would work with their companies.
Amazing. I'm going to ask for some more jargon busting because, again, I think that maybe not everybody knows. You were talking about C stage.
C stage is just very early stage. So you have an idea, and so when it's essentially like it's actually like a life cycle, like a plant. So seed stage is like you're really just a seed at that point. You still need to grow. So at that stage is. Can be up, even as a new idea, it can be a seed stage company.
Excellent. I'm picking up on all the jargon because I'm sure we're going to be asked.
How do you know? If somebody wants to give you money today, do you say yes or do you say no? Most people will say, yes, give me money, I'll take the money. But do you know what you're going to do with that money? And how do you know what you're going to do with that money and what's right to do with that money? Do you hire somebody else? Do you buy another company? Do you open up another store? So do we want money? Yes. Everybody wants it. So, I mean, when is the right time for you to actually take the step out and say, okay, I'm ready, I'm fundraising, I need to do it? One, because you're inundated and there's a lot more demand than there is supply. So there's a market dynamic here. If you've spent all of your life savings on this beautiful app, or this beautiful restaurant, or this beautiful hair salon, or whatever your business is, but nobody has walked through the door, then you're not ready for funding. Because you haven't proven to the world and to the market and to your investor that you have value proposition that works and people want it. So that's not the right time to go to funding. I get a lot of people that come to us and say, look how much I spent on my app. I spent $2 million. X, Y company did it, and Z company in Brazil did it. I'm like, I don't care. It's not working here. You have to prove to me. I wish you had called me before so you don't spend your $1 million and you do it with the least amount of money possible just to prove that there is a business model that is working. That's the embryo. If you don't have that, I'm sorry, you don't have a fundable business today. So you have your first customer, someone's willing to pay good money for the service or the product that you offer, and it's a repeat purchase. So it's not just happens once because it's your birthday, everybody comes and buys something and that's it. That's not a business, right? it has to happen, and now people are in. And now you start thinking of creative ways how you want to market it. Social media, do I need a social media expert? Are my pricing correct? What do I do? These are real decisions that you have to think about on a day-to-day basis. When you know that there is something there, it's pulling at you, the demand is pulling at you, and you know if you brought another store or built another feature on your app, you're going to be able to get more. That's what you have to prove to an investor. And the further you go down that rabbit hole in terms of trying to get clarity on your market and what your customer wants to get funding, that's when things start to make sense. And as Sonia said, we had to go and beg for our money. We did. It's not like these funds, these VC funds just have infinite amount of money, they live on a bank and they just take money and give it to you. We have to return this money back to the people that gave it to us. So we had to go and tell these people, we're going to invest in the best companies that are going to 10x their valuations within 5 to 6 years. We're going to make so much money that we're going to give you back your money at 35% interest year on year. What? So what does that mean for me? I need to find the best entrepreneurs that are scaling to be able to hit my target, right? So it all trickles down. So what does that mean for you? It means that you have a market that is hungry for your product or your service, that you can go out and start getting more revenues. That's when you need to invest. Typically, we want to see 1 to 2 years of a financial model that says, this is what it's going to look like. I know a lot of people put projections for 5 or 10 years. I mean, it's all BS. Your hockey stick curve goes like that when you send us a graph. Fine. If COVID hit, everything goes to shits. But anyway, you need to know what you're going to do for the next 6 months, the next 12 months, and the next 18 months. If that's clear for you, now you have the confidence and the courage to go and talk to an angel. Who's an angel? Not a person that has wings. An angel is somebody that announces publicly, I have a lot of money and I've invested in this company and this company, and you can usually find them on angel lists. You can find them in the business community. And why would you choose this angel and not this angel? They both have money. They both invested in companies. Shall I go for Mr. X or Miss Y? They need to be strategic for your business. So, if you're selling groceries or products, you want somebody in FMCG, somebody in marketing, somebody who can open up doors for you, somebody who understands your business, and you can find synergies with them. You're not going to go to a construction company, angel, somebody who's made a lot of money off of real estate. Okay, that's not going to necessarily work. So you really have to do your research and find out who these people are, what they've done, what they're interested in, and go and strike up a conversation. Quick do's and don'ts. Don't go and talk to an investor and say, oh, okay, thank you very much, bye-bye. Fine, you've presented your case, you've sat and worked months on your presentation, and because they say yes or no, then you just walk away. That's a lost opportunity. You want to pick their brains as much as possible, because these people are filled with data points. Whether it's relevant for you or not, you want to understand how they think. So a lot of companies come to me and pitch, and I say from the very beginning, before they pitch, MSA will not invest in your company, but I'm here to help you so that you can figure out where you need to go. And then they start asking me questions. Entrepreneurs that tell me, Walid, I'm going to just call you because I can't figure this out and I have these questions. I really respect that entrepreneur. That's somebody who's hungry for knowledge, wants to really understand where they need to go. And we build a relationship. 3 years down the line, I invest in them. But how did they start? They started with curiosity. They understand it with their, quenching their thirst for knowledge. That's what you really need to do. So anytime you get up in front of an investor to ask them for money, pick their brains to no end. Why did you invest in this? How come you invested in this and not that? Why is this interesting for you? How can I get your friend to do it if you don't want to do it? Go for as much knowledge as possible. Everything that Sonia spoke about and everything that we're talking about is not unknown. You have to make it known by shining a light, by asking why. Just keep asking the question until you get the data points. Yeah, okay, this person works for me, this person doesn't work for me. Next, 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 until you find, what do I have to change in my business model? What do I have to change in terms of my search to find the right person who's going to click with you? And that's fundraising. If you're an entrepreneur, you decide to be an entrepreneur, congratulations, you're going to be fundraising pretty much for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's a daunting task to raise funds. It's not very easy to know who to go to and how to go to that. You're very right in terms of you need to have your product, you need to have revenue, you need to show a lot of things. But we've come into companies pre-launch, right before, and so they had no revenue, they had nothing. They were like, I'm building the Robin Hood of here, or I'm building the plaid of Dubai, and we're like, okay, that's a great idea. I want to put my money in there, like that, and it does happen.
But why did you invest in them?
Yeah, I was about to get to that. It's a lot of it is founder bets, what we do, and that founder bets.
Yes.
And so when anyone's coming in very early on, they're not investing really in your idea. When they're not investing in your in this, they think because this is the best business in the world. They're investing in you. And you have to show them that you are the best person to do this business, because you could have COVID hit or something else hit, and you need to pivot your business and be able to show that you're going to roll with the punches, and you're able to do that. So we've invested, we as VentureSouq have invested in many early stage investments, many which we call the seed stage, very early on. Sometimes they just have a working app that's in beta. Like beta, we say, are like testing phase. We've done many investments in that way, and we've wrote small checks into them. But the questions we ask those entrepreneurs are more about them, their background, and why we invest in them. So anyone that's invested in your company is investing in you. And and it's a big, huge responsibility for that. But they've made that choice, and so if you can show that you are the person that will take this company to the next level, that's how you get your backing. It's all nice for us to say these things, but getting access to the VCs or the angels, it's a very hard. It's a whole other thing altogether. And so there's a lot of ways in which you can access funds. We personally use like accelerators. Accelerators are. Has anyone heard of that phrase before? What an accelerator is? So an accelerator, we personally have invested a lot through a company, an accelerator called Y Combinator. Y Combinator is based in San Francisco, in the Valley. Companies like Airbnb have come out of Y Combinator, Dropbox, Coinbase, huge companies have come out of this one accelerator. And so we use that a lot as a deal funnel for some of our deals. There's a lot of local accelerators that we use as well. There's plug and play here, Techstars, etc. And these accelerators are fantastic in many different ways. It comes at a cost because most of them take they give you some funding, and they'll take a portion of your business. But in some cases, it's really worthwhile to do it because they give you access to a lot of VCs such as us, because we all see the companies that come out of the accelerators, and they give you a lot of mentorship. So you start off the program explaining what your business is, et cetera, and they give you programming and guidance and mentorship to get you a place where you can actually present in front of investors. And so that's not a bad idea if you're struggling to think of trying to find the way to get to VCs if you don't know a lot of them, or a lot of investors or angels, because they'll come to these types of events like demo days and stuff.
And it's interesting that you say that. We actually had a question over Zoom, because this is live over Zoom as well. And Sarah has written, what if we need funding to start out? Can you only get funding for running business, or can you have funding to start out?
Sonia said that they've invested in pre-seed companies or pre-rev companies, so before you have a revenue generation. So, but why is that? So it is possible, but you have to have an amazing competitive advantage that lets the investor say, oh my God, yes, I have to invest in this person. I want to be the first person that gives them their first dollar because they're going to blow it out of the water. A couple of examples?
Yeah, I was going to say there's that, but then also, are there also programs that maybe the government has here as well, that maybe that they will provide investing for people if they have good ideas as well?
Yeah, I think I've heard of there's the there used to be the MIT Air Business Plan competition that just based on your business plan, they'll give you stuff. I think Shira does it, the Khalifa Fund does it. I think yes. The answer is yes, there is.
Okay.
On an idea
Pitch
that
at
you can
Palace
go.
used to happen as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So yes, there is. But you have to have done the research and the clarity. Very quickly, we had the founder of Tabi. His name is Hussam Arab. He used to work with Namshi. He worked with a rocket internet company, had all of the contacts that he needed. He came in and he said, I want to do a buy now, pay later thing. So this is someone who is a serial entrepreneur, has exited and has all the contacts. We were dying to give this person money before he even did anything. So a successful entrepreneur that has exited, that knows how to scale a company, is prime target for us. We just can't throw enough money at them. On the flip side is somebody that doesn't have a value proposition or a competitive advantage. So there's a guy in Saudi who created Maestro Pizza. I don't know if you've heard about it, but they beat Domino's out of the market, and it was a Saudi brand. And we went and we did a case study. Like, how did you do that? This is a Saudi entrepreneur, young guy, came in and beat the #1 pizza seller in Saudi Arabia. Any guesses? Yeah, he was good at marketing. Yes, he went to university. His dad was a baker. So he had the competitive advantage to try out as many pizzas as he wanted on his dad's account until he was able to click it and do it. That's a beautiful competitive advantage. Would you invest, and put yourself in our shoes. You can all be investors for the day. Would you invest in somebody? Would you invest in yourself? You need to have a competitive advantage and a great value proposition. Big words, but very simple. And without that, hard to move forward.
Yeah, there's also a DIA, like Dubai Angel Investors, that come in quite early on, and that's so it's about trying to find the right investor for you. A lot of the VCs are later, but there are some that come early on. It's about finding those here. You usually will find it here in this market. There is a lot of funding, but as Walid said, it is for the companies that are showing that they've had traction, that they have product market fit in here, and that's just a function of we're not as developed as like a San Francisco or Silicon Valley type, or even in India ecosystem. We're like the investors a little bit more conservative and want to come a little bit later.
And can I just give you one piece of advice? Perseverance, right? I mean, you've decided to be an entrepreneur. It means that you are resilient in what you believe in, and you're going to keep going. And I was saying this to Jen last time. The one most important factor sometimes in investment is timing. So you might have a great idea and you're super passionate about it, but the market's just not ready. And in the Middle East, that's what we're doing. We take a lot of things from outside and we copy and paste it. And we're like, oh, if it worked in Belgium, it must work here. We're all human beings, but the market's not ready for it. What does that mean? It means that's up until very recently, credit cards, cash on delivery, logistics, social media marketing. I mean, now we have the platforms, but a couple of years ago, you couldn't get anybody to do these things. So the market wasn't ready. Doesn't mean that that's not a good idea. So you're gonna take some punches along the way, and the market is evolving super fast. There's a lot of support. There's a lot of governments are there. There's a lot of stuff to do, but sometimes it's just a matter of timing. And I gave this example last time. I sat on the board of a company for around 7 years, and we kept investing and kept investing. It's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Company shut down. 6 months later, another company that looks exactly like that did it and took off. It wasn't because the guys were not good or whatever. It was just about timing, and the market was not ready. It was about influencer marketing. So all the fashionistas, Instagrammers, they were doing it really early on. They said, look at these people, they're making tons of money, we're gonna invest in them. And it just wasn't right. And then all of a sudden, something switched, right? So that's part of the macro environment, and you really need to persevere through it.
I want to get to questions, but one last question I have is I want to ask you about tech, because a lot of funding seems to go to tech companies. And I had this conversation with Heather Henyon, who runs Mindshift, who I think you both know. And I said to her, why are you just investing in tech? There's all of these other businesses, women-run businesses. And she said to me, any business that is worthy of investment now needs to have some element of tech, because she said, I don't care what it is that you're doing, that tech is what's driving a business now. Would you agree with that? And would you say that everybody across this room, no matter what it is that your business is, that you need to have some element of tech there running your business?
The idea of tech isn't just to use tech for the sake of using tech. Tech brings efficiencies to whatever you're doing. And so if you're running a business that has zero tech in it, that means you could be doing it better. You could be doing it faster. You could be, or more efficiently. Better use of time. That's what tech brings to us, and this is the world we're now in. We are running faster, moving faster, more productive because of the tech we use on a daily basis, and so companies should have that aspect in there. So that's why we look for we when someone says they're a tech company and we go into the company and we see they're still doing manual stuff,
Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah, and we look at it, we're like, there's no way. Like this is not a tech business. This is very manual, but they were selling it as a tech business, and so that's really important. It's just a matter of bringing more efficiencies into what you're doing, and that's what tech brings. It's not a mandatory you must be in tech, but why would you not use tech if you could?
I just want to say everything today is tech enabled. So, I mean, you do a falafel sandwich, there's no tech in it. But the way that you get your raw materials and the way that you understand your customer and the delivery has tech in it. You can have a consulting firm that is very one-on-one, personal coaching if you want, but there's tech because you want to try to source these people and do some Facebook ads and reach out to them and so on and so forth. So it's tech enabled. And really in today's age, it's like, let's be a little bit pragmatic and take a step back. It's like we were on horses and carriages until the car came. And then we were in the typewriter until the computer came. And then there has been a seismic paradigm shift with technology. So if you're still talking about stuff on typewriters, no one's going to invest in you today unless you're opening a museum. Right? So, I mean, yes, in today's age, if you're thinking about the growth of your company and you want to talk to the millennials and the new generation, forget about tech. These guys, they're not even going to think about physical goods anymore. They're buying stuff in the metaverse that is just a figment of somebody's imagination and paying money for it. And forget about it. I mean, look at where we're going. We're going to virtual reality landscapes where people are buying real estate that's in some computer code. You can't even touch it. So yes, we have to be mindful of where the evolution of mankind is going, and we need to be on the cutting edge of it because that's what's interesting and that's what's going to make money, right? So yes.
Fantastic. Okay. I know a number of you want to be able to pitch your businesses and talk about your business and get feedback. But before we do that, I'd like to maybe see if anybody has questions that they would like to ask you. Maybe we'll have time for 3 questions and then we'll let you talk about your business. Okay, stick your hand up, and if you want a question, you need to wait because we need to have a microphone go to you. So stick your hand up if you want a question. Okay, lady in the corner there, and lady in the green jacket over there. So we'll take 3, and then towards the end, if we have more time for questions, we will as well. Okay, you have to wait for the microphone just because it's on camera.
And as far as I'm concerned, you can always reach out to me, whether it's now, whether it's later on.
As well, yeah.
I mean,
I'm just mindful because at 1 o'clock they kick us out of the door.
I mean, it could happen, in a different venue, so.
Okay, so maybe if we'll start with the woman in the green jacket, if you just want to introduce yourself and ask your question, please.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I would like to appreciate everything that you are sharing with us. And also, as a woman who has just started their business, I was fascinated by the statement that you said, you need to be resilient. I would really appreciate if you could probably explain more about the resilience, because I know it's tough.
I'm smiling because you're already resilient. You're here, you've taken the time and effort to do it, you've already established your business, so anybody in this room has already checked the mark of being resilient. It's just that have enough confidence in yourself to continue, right? Because you're going to get a lot of no's. And I'm sure you've gotten a lot of no's until it got you to where you are today, sitting and asking a question, raising your hand. Trust me, you're extremely resilient. So I'm not worried about that. If you have anything else to say, Sonia.
No, I agree. It's hard, but keeping resilient. It's a hard task. Raising money, building a business, everything sits on your shoulders. But you just keep on at it, and I'm sure it'll work.
I want to say something else. We invest, like Sonia said, we invest in people. So you might think that this is the business idea, and then 3 months in, you're like, oh, that's not the business idea. Mm-hmm. And then you do something where you shift, and we call that a pivot, where it means like, I wanted to sell this product, but I found out that if I sell this product, which I don't really like, it sells much better. Mm-hmm. And then you shift your business there because that's what works. So resilience helps you get past those pivot points until you refine where you need to go. And we're constantly learning and we're constantly changing. So resilience really is the ability to get there and not just say, oh, I tried, it didn't work, okay, finish.
And to know as well that a better day is going to come along, right? I think as entrepreneurs, you have your highs and you're like, yes, this is great. And then the next day, something not so good could happen and you're down here. It is like this all the time. Yeah. But what I say to people is if you look at where you are today compared to a month ago, 6 months ago, a year, you're making even those tiny steps are steps towards getting better within your business.
And celebrate the good days.
Oh yeah.
And learn from the bad days. That's I think helps a lot, because when you do something and you had a good month of sales, or you managed to find a cheaper manufacturer or something, celebrate those good days, and then the days where everything goes wrong, you'll learn from it, and tomorrow will be a better day. Because and to be honest, we're all going through it. Everyone has you have a group of a room full of people here that are in the same position as you are. We ourselves as VCs have good days and bad days. We're like business owners ourselves. So it's you're in good company when you know that. But keep going and keep marching through, because I think owning your own business and building something yourself is such an achievement. I feel more satisfaction now with our own business than I did when I was, working for, when I enjoyed working, as we used to work for one of the sovereign wealth funds in Abu Dhabi. I enjoyed that time and I learned a lot. But building my own business has its own type of satisfaction with myself and my partners.
Did we answer your question?
Mm-hmm. Finally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was coming from different angles, because by the way, I did not really introduce myself. I'm Maureen Meda from Zimbabwe. And I've been noticing, economically, at times things might not be favorable on your side, but at the same time, you've got this zeal to drive the business. Yeah. And I really wanted you to elaborate more on the resilience, and I'm sure with sharing with the other colleagues, I really understood where I am at the moment.
Resilience also includes failure.
True.
So don't misjudge failure. Failure is some of the best things that could ever happen to you.
Exactly.
And we always say fail forward and fail fast. If you need to shut it down, shut it down. The next one is going to be better. And if it's not, shut it down, the next one. That's resilience. So don't let the fear of failure stand in your way, because resilience includes multiple failures. So just be clear.
I always say it's like an expensive training course.
It's the best.
It's the best training course. It's like you've gone off to get your MBA. Maybe it was a little bit quicker, but you learned so much from that. I'm conscious of time. Lady in the corner, we're going to go to 3 questions, then we'll do more, because I want to give you all the opportunity to present your businesses. Can I get the microphone just to the woman in the corner? No, who's got her hand up there?
Hello, my name is Mona. I'm from Edifikra. We're an edtech startup. Thank you for the brilliant presentation. My question is actually related to product market fit. We've launched last year and we did see initial traction. We are a social startup, so we're impact driven, and we also have lots of free downloads from our site. It's just that we need to understand how do we evaluate how much revenue we're generating, the growth we're making, and also if our product is meeting the market needs, especially with respect to the time that it takes, because sometimes like we've adopted a model from other regions and it takes more time here, and we understand that. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
So for me, it's testing. So if you've done something for free, which you mentioned very briefly, Muna, people will take things for free. And if you go out and you do a survey and you say, you know, would you like a Krispy Kreme at 6 o'clock in the morning? You know, some people will say yes. The surveys are misleading. The free stuff is misleading because you're going to get an initial spike. Because you're giving something for free or you're giving something that people like, then that gets you excited. That's great, but it doesn't mean that, you know, you're able to repeat that and have traction. How do you know? There are two things that come to my mind very quickly. It's getting as intimate as possible with your customer. Why are you using it? Why do you like Krispy Kreme in the morning? Would you like to have one in the afternoon as well? Do you think that it's healthy for you? You know, you have to ask these questions to really understand what is the driving force that allows them or had them consume your service or your product, and can you replicate that several times? That's one. If you cannot talk to your customer, because sometimes it happens, we do something in the tech world called A/B testing. Give it to them at this price, give it to them at this price. Which one works? Give it to them in red, give it to them in green. Which one works? And you fine tune and fine tune and fine tune until you feel like, whoa, there it is. There's something there. And then you can start measuring your traction. I don't know if that was your question.
Would that also apply to the business model iterations as well, in terms with A/B testing, or just the service?
No,
Yeah.
I mean,
Good.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. You know, I think everything. You test it a little bit. You tweak it and you test and you tweak it, and then you'll find something that works.
It's very scientific, right? You have to do the experiment. It has to replicate itself. If it doesn't, can you add something that makes it better? Yes or no? And that's how you move through the thought process step by step. And it works on employees. It works on your business model. It works on the services. Yani كل شيء.
Thanks. Okay, there was, yes, I think middle, and then we're going to go to pitches.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chanda, founder of Lizom. I'm building a subscription-based platform for sustainable organic period care products. We've also
Sustainable organic, couldn't hear that.
period care.
Okay.
Period care, intimate hygiene. So it's a women product. We've just come out of the S3 studio from Shara. My question is a little generic, and since we are sitting in a room full of women here, that we women get invariably, in terms of the figures or statistics that are available, women are less funded or they get less funding invariably. I would like to know what is the reason that we women are getting lesser funding than other startup owners? Or what is it that we should do differently so that we can come up on that slot that we also get enough of funding? There's been a lot of information going around in last couple of weeks and maybe a couple of months. A lot of statistics have come up that women are really poorly funded. The startups which are owned by women are really poorly funded. So if there is any reason for that, or if there is something we can do better to come up to the slot.
Should we ask the only man in the room?
Yes, I'm happy to answer that question. Yes, women are less funded. It's a fact, right? We can sit here and we can ponder why. I'll tell you one thing. There's no magical switch or a magical number that says, oh, if women do this, if they shave their head, then they're going to get funding. It doesn't work that way. But we have to understand what the drivers are and where we're going. At the end of the day, I mentioned I had to beg for my money and I have to return money. If a woman can get me my money in the company that I'm investing in that woman. That's for sure. So let's just be very clear about, we can take the emotional side of things, we can take the gender side of things, we can take the impact on the social side of things. At the end of the day, I need to return money for my investors. And I'm sorry to be super blunt, but that's what it comes down to. And today, if I had a company that was woman-led and a company that was male-led that are doing the same thing, I am incentivized to invest in the female because I have to go back to my LPs, my funders, the people that I took money from, a lot of them are institutional that they say, show me how many women investors have you, or companies have you invested in? We need to see how many people have employed women. So they're pushing me in that direction. So, and all the VC, most of the VC funds are like that, and most of the funders are like that. So the tide is changing because we're creating awareness where it wasn't there before. And society has changed where now the woman can actually develop her own company and be able to have somebody take care of the kids. And so it's more normal for us to see that, where it wasn't in the 50s and the 40s, right? So we're evolving in that direction. The other thing I want to say is MSA Capital is founded by a female. 70% of our staff in Beijing are female. Wanda invested in BitOasis, Mom's World, MSA Capital has invested. So it's not unheard of. They're not the majority of our companies, but it's increasing. And like I said, I have 3 sisters, I have a mother. I much more prefer to invest in a female-led entrepreneur, but also there's the stigma of social. A lot of females love social causes and needs, and they put their heart and soul into it.
I think you just banged it. I think the ideas or the concepts that we choose are more from our heart, and they have to make business sense for an investor to invest in. I would definitely love to hear the female voice
Sure,
also.
absolutely.
I think you want to 10 times your investment or something, isn't it, that you're
Yes.
looking for?
Yeah,
and
we
so
heard.
that's, that also plays a decision in the type of business that you want to invest in, right?
So VentureSouq, it started off by 4 founding partners. I myself am one of them. So 2 females were part of our founding partners, and 2 other males. We continue to be, all 4 of us have always maintained the same equal pay, equal ownership, and equal opportunity in terms of our business. We are very conscious of this issue as a group. One of our partners, Sonia Mueller, has her life's passion is to invest in impact investing, and one of that is to help promote females and female empowerment. So this is something that we take very, very, very seriously, and even us and we track how many, we all do now, the number of female founders we do. Our numbers are not great either. And it is the fact that, yes, we do have to return funds to our investors, but it is the number of female entrepreneurs that we see, like the pipeline of males versus females they outnumber. And we invest in fintech too, which is not a very female oriented environment. And those are excuses that I'm giving you, right? If we see a lot of our companies that are founded by females are females in the executive team are strong females, strong teams, and we like to do whatever we can to promote them. So what I like to tell people, and I heard this once on a panel, and I took it to heart, and I'm saying it to you guys now, is we are females, and we are here to help each other. So so someone once told me that if a female comes to them and asks for a meeting, she's an investor herself, she will always take that meeting. So now if a female comes to me looking for funding, I will always take that meeting, and in that meeting, do exactly as Walid, what you said before. They may not be, suited for VentureSouq or this fund, but I will help you. And so sometimes it's nice to just knock on the doors of other women, give them a cold call, send them an email. They may do the same too. And I hope that you guys do the same as well, that if you can help another female in their business, it's something we can do for each other to help each other out, because this is something we need to fix.
Brilliant. I think that's the answer for the question that I was looking for. It's nothing to do with what we are not doing correct, but maybe to level up and be there available with those ideas, those beautiful things that are there inside you. Adding tech angle, like we said, we can add. I have spoken with a couple of women here. Most of us are working in either wellness space or similar spaces. There is lots that we can do in terms of tech in that space also. So just sitting there assuming that, okay, I have a fantastic thing. If we scale up ourselves and include what is running in the market or what is needed in today's world, probably that could be one of the answers. Just my input here.
Yes.
It's an uphill battle for women for sure, and a lot of times there's certain preconceived notions on what we're bringing to the table that we need to dispel. For example, when you're coming to investors, sometimes you think, you know, is this a lifestyle business for you, or are you like an entrepreneur that's working 24 hours around the clock? As soon as my son goes to sleep, I work another 4 or 5 hours after he goes to sleep. That's what a lot of women do. But we need to make sure people know that, you know, and that when we're looking for funding, we're just as committed as a male is to this company. And then just letting them know that, you know what, this is a for-profit that's not just doing this for, like, you know, social causes or whatever, because that's what sometimes people just assume about us as females, and we need to make sure that when we're coming into a pitch, that anything that you think they assume about your business, you let them know very early on into that conversation.
Absolutely. I think I'll just take half a second more, half a minute more. One of the discussions was about that you have to go and pitch when you feel that you have an idea, something which is workable. I feel that one of the challenges we women face, it could be completely from my personal space that I'm talking about, we think that we are yet not ready. So a lot of us do not go and actually pitch ourselves. One, maybe fear of rejection. Second, we don't feel we are ready. So I think that is another thing which, working with a couple of, you know, accelerator, I have realized that we women are facing. Just for if I'm sharing,
Yeah,
if
and you
it
may
could be
be
of
very
help.
ready, and then you just be like, I'm not, because it is a responsibility to take the funding.
I've
But, you
been
know,
there.
you probably are. I feel like women do underestimate themselves.
It has to do with self-esteem. And it has to do with shooting for the stars and believing in yourself. Because as Sonia said initially, you know, females would probably give you the exact number and not exaggerate it or state something that's not there, right? What we need to change is this mindset of being super humble, or thinking I'm never going to be able to reach there, or I've had enough with what I have, right? It's that self-esteem and that ambition that needs to go through the roof. And I think that is changing, and then it's going to be a flood of female entrepreneurs getting
Sure.
So
The gap is too big. I hope it bridges soon.
Well, that's why initiatives like this are so great, right?
And female fusion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
And I mean, the other thing too, I think, is money mindset. I see this a lot with women. For example, people will say, "Oh, I want to set up a not-for-profit." Okay, why? You know, that, you know, because I was speaking with one woman the other week, and she said, "Well, because I want to do good." And I said, "But don't you have bills to pay? You know, you have school fees, you have to pay your rent just like everybody else does. There's nothing, you shouldn't be ashamed with making money, because that's what we're here as entrepreneurs to do, is to make money."
If you make a lot of profit, you can donate some of that.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
There's no better impact than a sustainably, you know, going company. You know, if you do something for a short period of time, you had impact, it's dead. But if it's making profits and it's sustainable,
And
you're going to
you
get a lot
can
more
be
people.
profitable and do good and hire more people and treat your employees well.
Money's not evil. We need to
Absolutely.
get that out of the way.
I'm really conscious, because I know some of you really want to get feedback from our two experts who, let's get you to raise your hands. We won't be able to get from everyone. What I would like is to really focus on the businesses where you have been thinking about getting funding and you want to get feedback, and maybe getting some of their feedback will help you take the next step. So you've been putting up your hand lots, so I'm gonna, if we could get the microphone to you, introduce yourself. Now, I am going to be tight on time because we only have a half an hour, so do you think you can give your business idea in a minute or less?
Yes.
Who is it?
Okay, so I need a microphone here first, please. Sorry, and then we'll come to you, okay? So I'm gonna time you as well, so clock is on.
So I have a health tech company. It's called Heal Veda, and basically it's based on my story, and it was an accident. I lived with chronic conditions my whole life. I went to many doctors that told me, I don't know what caused this, why you have it, and I had mysterious symptoms throughout my whole life that prohibited me from performing. So I traveled 34 countries, built a network of my own doctors that helped me, spent over $250,000 in treatments, to figure out this concept of shared healing, where I would bring together women of similar autoimmune conditions and connect them with doctors from my network to be able to get their questions answered in a feasible way and be able to track their progress, unlike going to the doctor, paying $200, and filling out a bunch of intake forms and leaving in 15 minutes. It's not a system that works. So, my big question was, why does it take a near-death experience or a couple of them to figure out what you have in today's age, and what can we do to help the people that have these conditions? And that's what my solution does. So I'm currently at the stage where I do have a proven model. I have built a community of over 3,000 women who are using this subscription service, and I have a network of doctors, and I'm looking to take it to the next level.
Very cool. Thank you so much for sharing. I think everybody has their journey in terms of what their business idea, where it sprouts from, and yours happened to be yours. And I think in a way it's a blessing because of what you've been able to do in helping other women and then creating this platform. So I commend you for that. Very quickly, medtech, a lot of medtech companies are coming up and they are ripe for disrupting the old way of doing things, right? So paying $200 to see a doctor, there's a much more efficient, more trustworthy way of building it. If I put my investor hat on, then it becomes, okay, you have 3,000 women. I want to see what's the total addressable market. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. How big can this grow? Are we talking about MS? Are we talking about a certain kind of sickness or illness? Fine. How much is that? And can it be adapted to other illnesses? Mm-hmm. And then we looked at women. How about when we look at these other illnesses, can it be open to men as well? And how can we take what you have in terms of the technology is a platform that connects people and builds trust, right? Mm-hmm. In order to help them. How can we take that and be able to see where it can go so that we can have a clear view of your total addressable market and make sure that that's the way that you want to take it? Because for us, because I come from a VC mind, if it's narrow and specific, it makes me irritated. Mm-hmm. Because my business mind kicks in and it's like, how can we grow this? Where is this going to go? And how are we going to make this bigger? So those are things that I would look for if you were pitching to me. I would say, where does this go? Is it a one product thing? How does it affect other illnesses? And how can we grow the market? And then we take a look at those KPIs that are very much like, okay, how much are you spending to acquire a customer? What's the lifetime value? Does it make sense? Are we going to see a light at the end of the tunnel, yes or no? Those are very quick feedback.
And when you hear your quick pitch, there's so many things right off the bat. You're like, check, check, check. You're building a business that is scalable. So it's not just niche, regional specific. You can go across borders. You can go across countries. It could be very, very global because you have a community involved. That's amazing right off the bat. So now, because exactly what Walid said, we're looking for something that's big, that's aiming that has a huge market. And then the next thing you think of, okay, it's very niche. It's autoimmune disorders. How can we ask you, or how can you build that into other disorders that can be built on top? We're thinking, what is going to be the next unicorn? How do we make? Because it's early on, but we as early investors always think of how do we guide our founders to build the next big thing. So it's always no restrictive. Trying to, you start off very niche, and you start off with, you show that you can do it well with this. Okay, now we're going to say, okay, yes, you start autoimmune disorders. Now maybe the next thing is diabetes. We have a community of diabetes, and as people have to, need help with, or how do they manage it, et cetera. Or they, because it's a day-to-day thing. It's just like the autoimmune system is a sort of day-to-day thing, and you keep building and building on that. So that's the potential that we would look for in your company.
Strategic partnerships. Who are your doctors? Are they certified? Can you start selling products on the platform? How can you expand that? And we need to see something that is unique. It's unique because it's you and it's your story, but if it's something that is not currently replicable in the market. So if a big a hospital comes in and says, oh, this is really interesting. I'm going to come in and do this, and I've got $1 million to spend on it. How can you build a competitive advantage for yourself? All of these buzzwords get us really excited. Like, wow, nobody else can do this. This is a big market. She's really thinking about, taking it all the way. She's using new technology that nobody else. These are things that really get us interested. Whoa, and it's proven, right? So I'm just giving you a mindset of what we go through.
I wanted to ask something as well. Have you custom built your platform, or is it something which is an off-the-shelf platform?
Yeah, so basically one night, I like my whole life, I was never able to connect with people because of the circumstances I dealt with. Throughout my life, I had to live a different lifestyle. And so one day I just shared my story on, how I overcame this and what I found out about these diseases and the pathogens and everything that related to the actual root cause. That's when it was just an ad I was running for $5 a day.
So so your community though, is it built on, have you built a
was built-
platform, or are you using like an off-the-shelf platform, like just from a tech side? Is it
was-
like Kajabi or something like that? What are you using?
It was a membership. So it's basically Facebook is where it was initially built. And then from Facebook, it goes to a membership platform for the subscription.
Okay.
What Jen is asking is core, because we want to invest in IP that doesn't have to be built by you, but it has to stand apart because of that competitive advantage, because of that uniqueness. Because if somebody else can open up a Facebook group or a WhatsApp group or have some kind of scheduling thing, then it's not as unique as we want it to be.
So the reason why I'm asking that, because I know that there are a lot of communities, and I wanted to ask both of you, because maybe there's other people who have communities. If somebody's built a really strong community like she has, if she's used an off-the-shelf tech system to run that, is that okay? Or would you be looking at saying, okay, well, you've tested this, you've done this, you've shown that you have the community, now's the time that you scale and you custom build something for that?
Yeah, custom built is always good because no one else can like shut you off. You know what I mean? You own it, you have all the tech yourself. But in some cases, if you don't need to build it because something exists, why spend the time, right?
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest challenges was, in Facebook, you have that discovery available. And that's how I got people to find out what this was and how it could help. And then but it's also, there are some cons, like you're conditioning people to join a group and get free information and get free insights, and now they're conditioned for free. So how do you get someone like that to
That's
pay
when you have a
more?
business, when you figure that question out. Honestly, I'm all for partnerships and using platforms. I think it's super smart to do it or get something off the shelf and prove that there's a market. But then how do you get them to pay? Now we're talking business.
Right. So I think that was why, because it's like I got, 10,000 women in this group, but then to get them to pay was a whole different task.
Perfect.
And
I
required
know all about that.
salespeople and
Perfect.
So
okay. Amazing. I think we could talk for ages about your idea, and it's really interesting, but thank you for sharing. I want to go to a few other people now. I'm conscious that I took the microphone off of you, so I'm going to go to you. And my eyes are kind of trained over there, but I'm going to pause outside of the room. Is there anybody on this side who, okay, I'm going to choose the lady there first, and then we'll go around. Okay.
It pays to be up front, everyone.
Yeah. 1 minute, okay?
All
I'm
right.
timing you.
Yep. Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the session today. It's very, very helpful. I represent a team of content creators. Our company is called Sandbox Creatives. It's almost 4 years old now. And in the first 3 years, we've been struggling. I actually had full investors, like you mentioned early on, friends who gave me money just because they had extra money and we needed money for licensing and for operations. The main thing why we started the business was, for me, is to help my creative friends. I came from music and entertainment industry. I'm very well versed with content acquisition, content licensing, content marketing. And I had friends who are very creative, photographers, videographers, and I wanted to help them out. They were doing freelance. They were actually tied with a full-time job, but we all wanted to be free. So we decided to put up our own. And over the years, there was some issue with our full investors who wanted to get the ROI right on the bat. And so it was a challenge. And what I did was just to take it off. I mean, I just bought them out and just continue on with the business. And it has been a challenge, but we've managed to get past the pandemic stage, and now we're moving to a good place again of profitability. And I'm thinking now to scaling the business. And I just felt like not, but because of those experiences with the earlier investors, I'm a bit worried about opening up the business again to investment. And if there's any, in terms of ROI, like what are the expectations in terms of timelines, for example? And also a good thing that you mentioned about tech, because we are dealing with content. I'm very, very proud to represent we call them A-list creators, because they've done really good jobs for brands, lifestyle brands, like Nike, or we've had our brands. So I just that's two things. Like, should we get into tech, and how long is the ROI? What's the expectations?
I'm going to ask Sonia to answer that.
Amazing. So what you're saying is a very typical entrepreneur journey coming in. You take money initially, and it wasn't, sometimes it's not sophisticated financing or funding. So you have to figure out and manage that. Managing your investors is a whole other task on its own, and everybody has to deal with it, because everyone's going to have some investors that are easy, some investors that are not. In this case, this is why we mentioned earlier during the session that it's really, really important to pick your investors. And we were very picky with who you let into the business. It seems like they didn't understand the concept of what it is to be an early stage angel investor, because it's very long term. They should not expect to get that money back for a very, very long time. The return expectations for an early stage business are sometimes 0, or it could be 10x. You know, that's the way an angel has to think. So when you're talking to your angel investors, make sure that they understand that concept, because you could have taken money from a friend, and which we've seen some early stage investors, they've taken money from a friend, company goes to 0, and that person that you've taken that money for has to understand that. So before you take funding in, let them know, especially if they're your friends and family, that it is a very risky proposition, and that it could end up with 0, but it could end up with something amazing, because that's why you're building it. You're passionate about, you're building it for a reason. Whether to bring in tech into, we're always going to say yes, yeah. Right? Because what you're doing is the future in terms of building content. We're now moving to everything is people are creating content on their own, whether it's me posting a story on Instagram, or someone else, an influencer. Building content is important. We VentureSouq are investors in a company called Substack. Check it out. Substack you're able to create newsletters, etc., that go out to the public. A lot of people are using now, so that's a good way you can incorporate some tech into your content.
Amazing. Yes. I was thinking, because our content is catering to lifestyle and a lot of brands. So I thought that also our artists are looking into more building their portfolio. So I would like to establish some kind of platform for them. And I thought maybe this is something that would help us to scale.
There's lots of tech that you actually don't even need to create yourself, that you can use and build into your tech stack.
I'm just going to say very quickly.
While you're doing that, can I take the microphone and move it up here? Go ahead.
Well done. You took money. You got burnt a little bit. So now you're able to ask the tough questions for your next investor. So you're already better than where you were. And there's something called lawyers. And we sign contracts with everybody. There are standard contracts. And then you can pick and choose how you want these things. And you can spell it out. A good lawyer will tell the investor, don't expect your money to come back. There is no dividends that are going to be paid. What the ROI, they have trusted you with something, but a good lawyer is indispensable, is fantastic, and puts your mind at ease. Because the last thing you want is, as soon as you're building your business and you have this money, someone to come barking at you and say, give me my money back, what have you done with it? No, there's a way that you put that barrier in legal terms. If they're an investor, they accept these things. Everything is done in black and white at the very beginning of the journey, so that the expectations are set. and you don't have to worry about somebody coming and threatening you for something.
That's a really good point. Thanks.
Hi, can I stand?
Yes, of course you can.
Because I like to look at everybody.
Come and present.
All right. So raise your hand if you have children who are learning Arabic in school. Okay. Now raise your hand if they love learning the language. That's the point.
Good pitch.
It's a crisis. Our children want nothing to do with the language, and we are not asking them what to do. This is where we, Arabically, come in. We craft adventures beyond letters, beyond learning the basics. How do we do that? We use Arabic storybooks. We don't create storybooks, but we show the children how they can live the language using authentic Arabic content. And we do this in an online edtech platform. That's about it. That's my pitch. Yeah, and my name is Juwairiya Siddiqui, and I'm the founder of Arabically. We are an online platform where we engage young children, I would say 3 to 12 years old, with our Arabic content. And the way we do it is by creating engaging curriculum from Arabic storybooks. So the storybooks already connect the children to the material, and then we kind of show them how we can explore the world of vocabulary, grammar, science, math, whatever you wanted, but using Arabic. Thank you.
Good. Do you want to take the first shot?
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Love what you're building. I love it, and actually the number of Arabic-speaking people in the region shows, you know what, this is a huge market, right? So right off the bat, check like in terms of market sizing. I have a young kid, so I understand the concept of like him not wanting to, learn a language. So like I'll give you an example. This week he's starting. I'm Indian origin, so he's taking Hindi school this week, and I told him, so excited you're starting Hindi school this week, and he's like, Mommy, the Hindi teacher called, the class is canceled. Like they don't want to learn it. Like they don't want to, it's just, he didn't even go to one class and he doesn't want to learn it. So if anyone can make it easier and for my child, I'm happy to do that. People in this region are willing to spend the money on something like this. So you can actually start charging people right away off the bat.
Already done the market
validation. Because that stuff for me, this is a great opportunity, and ed tech, and especially children is blowing up.
Great. I think your presentation was fantastic, right? Because you made it very clear what you were doing. Everybody in the room got it, and well done. And so fantastic. It's a problem, and you're addressing it through being very engaging with the child and really understanding child psychology and what it takes. So you have a problem and you're solving it in your own methodology, and you're getting the results. At least you know the results. Now the problem when it comes to business is who's paying? Is it the kid that's paying? No, it's the parent that's paying. Is it the parent that's paying? Can somebody else pay? Maybe the school can pay. Do we have a B2B model or a B2C model? If we have a B2C model, how are we getting to the person who's paying, the parent? Maybe you're going into child psychology and you're understanding that there's impact, but how do you translate that to the person who's paying? So how do you make the parents understand that? And how can you leverage that? And how can you get a critical mass of parents to talk about this? And how can you get the kids excited about it as well? Because maybe you found a way to psychologically get into the engagement factor, but then how is that celebrated and how does that create a bigger base for you? Or do you switch to B2B and go to schools and say, look, this is an engaging platform. Your Arabic teachers are suffering. Here's a way to do it. School pays at the beginning of the year. Here's your cash flow. Your revenue's good, and you move forward. So what I'm trying to do is, I love the spotlight, and this goes for a lot of people that are doing impact and social things. It's wonderful. You've found something that works. But then I want to take the spotlight out and say, okay, how are we looking at it in terms of the business sense? How can we scale it through a business sense? And those are different structures than what you've looked at in terms of the engagement. That's what's going to make it investable.
Right. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at right now. That's the reason why I wanted to come for this event today, to see how, because we do have a lot of customers. We've had children from Malaysia, Canada, America. So there's a global market, because it's not just for Arabic in school, but also for religious reasons that children learn Arabic.
Yes.
So there's a large market.
There's a lot, and I will tell you, nobody globally has really done it.
Yeah.
We haven't seen our, K to 12 curriculums, disappear and go into a Bitcoin land or something that's, you know what I mean? Yeah. We haven't found that yet. So there is a lot still that needs to be there. So what that means is there's an opportunity, but there's also a lot of skepticism still. So you're pioneering something that people don't fully understand how it looks like.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to look in the middle. Who wants to go in the middle first, back there? It's a woman back there holding up her hand. No, the one who's turning around. Yeah, you. We'll go there. Sorry. I'll try to get to as many as possible.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline. I'm co-founder of UChef. UChef is the cooking concierge for everyone. The innovation comes from its integration, as it's the one-stop app for planning, shopping, and cooking in the region. We provide all of the conveniences of a meal subscription service. However, it's completely flexible. You only buy what you want, when you want it, and from your preferred suppliers. All of the recipes are coming from restaurants, private chefs, and food bloggers. And we have 2 revenue streams from the user subscriptions and in-app purchases, as well as a commission from supplier sales that go through the app. Currently, we have an MVP and it's fully functioning. However, we're in pre-seed fundraising at the moment, and that's it.
No, amazing. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, great. So you're talking to somebody who's an avid Hello Chef user?
Yes.
And I have family that uses Blue Apron.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And I think you're taking that model and extending it a little bit more, saying, you get to curate what you want, and you get to choose where the supply comes from, and we're going to give you that whole experience. Just because there are business models that are very similar or comparable to what you're doing, I get a little bit more technical now, right? Because it's something that has been done, is growing, and we have benchmarks to take a look at. And when I do that as an investor, I want to pick into why have you decided to alter that model, and why do you think that it's more valuable to be able to pick where the sourcing comes from? Does it increase your margins? Is it less headache? Logistically, does it work? What do you do if things are out of stock? I mean, there's a lot of things that go in there. What I haven't heard, and I haven't looked at it, but this is what my thinking process is, so you understand what the workings of an investor looks like, is how is it unique in a way? Just because you've offered a value chain that's a little bit longer is not enough of a unique selling point. Now, if you tell me I'm getting sought after material that is organic and grown in Italy that is so sought after and is super sort of high value, and I've proven my market for it, there is something I can latch onto that differentiates it, and I can now put it in my mind as this is something different. Now I can actually go back to farming. I can go back to how can we help lending and fintech for the farmers, for the seeds to grow, for the special kind of tomato that's coming in, and then you can have it on your dish and you can enjoy it and you can tell people, and this is a market that's been untapped and it's something that's revolutionary and new. So what I'm always trying to find is how can I go deeper into finding really what the thing is that differentiates you from everything else, and then amplify that, regardless of what happens in the other parts of the value chain. So that I need to feel convinced about that before doing anything else, because I've seen other models and what they look like. So it's going to be a little bit harder to copy somebody else that's kind of in the same place.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I think because this model is being done at Hello Chef and others in the market, we as investors and me as a consumer have to understand why you're different. Like, what's your competitive advantage over the rest, and why should I invest in you as opposed to why not just go to Hello Chef and say, well, like, can I put money in there? Can I put money there? So that's the first question that everyone's going to ask you right off the bat, and I think you've addressed that very, very well there. For me, I looked into Hello Chef last week, and I'm kind of like your target market. Like, as I work all day, and I do a lot of takeout for my family for no reason. It's unhealthy, and I really need to start, like, one of my New Year's resolutions is to start cooking myself, and I still don't have the time. So a box with everything that is in there with a recipe, to me, is like amazing. But I don't have the time to organize a weekly thing. I'm not home half the time. There's not a lot of flexibility there. So if I could go on Deliveroo on any given day and, say I want to grab a box, then that would be helpful. So the flexibility is why I didn't go with Hello Chef. So that's the thing, is why are you different from something else, and
the
how are
value
you addressing
proposition,
your target
because
market?
Hello Chef kind of narrows it down for you. Look, you've got these, you choose from it, eat it. If I have to sit and think about more decision-making processes, it makes it a harder sell. So just by increasing the value chain, it kind of sounds like Kipson's on top of Hello Chef, right?
Yeah, it's similar.
Then it's making maybe my decision-making process a little bit more difficult.
The thing is, you can purchase all of your groceries as well. So there would be multiple suppliers, and you could potentially go with the supplier that you already shop with. And so the box will be created, and you can also have other groceries at the same time and other household supplies.
Yes, your answer is logistics.
Yeah.
You're giving me a logistical answer. I'm trying to drive the consumer value answer. Yes, you can get a box from your Spinneys that you prefer or your Carrefour that you prefer, and we can do it for you. Logistically, it's possible. That's what you're telling me. I'm saying, what is the driving force of a consumer that is willing to pay that is going to get me to where I need to go? It's not because it's packed in Carrefour or Spinneys. That's not it. There's something deeper that is the value proposition that I'm trying to unlock in this, right? Which is simplicity. You're trying to give convenience, maybe speed and price, I don't know, but you're trying to simplify the process for them. How is that being done? How are you going to tell the mother that's at home or the father that this is going to simplify your life?
Okay.
Super. Okay. Woman back, yes. We'll try to get through a few more. We might be able to run a few minutes over, if that's okay with both of you. Okay. So if you could tell us really quickly about your business.
I'm Rubab Hassan, and I'm co-founder of Deliver Sustainability Shopping. To best understand our model, it is just like a coin, having two apparently different faces, but intricately joined together to form one useful product. So Deliver Sustainability Shopping is a conversational artificial intelligence service on demand aggregator. And that is, we are offering it to middle and high income residents or visitors in New Dubai to unlock their time, which they use as for shopping run or grocery run or searching for handyman. They can just be on our database and just search those handyman and just call those services at home. And on another side, since we are an SDG 6 progressive company, so we aspire to bring healthy drinking water solutions to your home or offices or wherever. And not only machines, which is a recurring income for us because we would be needing the service and cartridges change and everything, but we also provide subscription service for healthy or healing water at your doorstep, thus eliminating the need and use of water bottles. That is in nutshell what we do.
Okay.
And reality, yeah, if it is required. This is just the pitch, but if it is required, I can tell that we are into the market and we have organic customers, and we have 4 revenue streams also, which we have tested the market and traction is there.
Super. Okay. Maybe if one of you want to answer, because I'm keen to get through a few more. I've been told we can have an extra 10 minutes. So we can, maybe if we can be a bit quicker. I'll let one of you answer. Walid?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I was confused. There was a lot of words. And I went from sustainability to AI to delivery to a coin. I was confused. And then you got me to water, and then you got me to machines, and then you got me to healing, and then you got me to 4 different revenue models. My mind wasn't able to grasp all of that in a way that made sense. And you know, and I'm sure if I sat with you and I could go through it a little bit more, but I'm just telling you my initial feedback. I struggled to really get what it looked like and how I can answer you. So my first feedback would be, you know, clarity.
I think be a bit clearer on the messaging and what it is that you do, and sometimes being a bit simpler can be easier. Also, as well, talking about SDG 6 and things like that, most people don't know that. So again, you know, it might mean a lot to you and it's in the environment that you're working in, but sometimes to keep it clear and simple, almost like if you were speaking to your grandmother. And you know, you want to have it in a way that she would understand.
They call it the elevator pitch, right? It's
Yeah.
just whatever you can say in the time you're in an elevator getting to.
Yeah.
What would you like? Will I have a chance to sit with any one of you and we can talk in detail, because we have all the answers which we believe.
Yeah, yeah.
And we
Yeah.
Sure.
Offline, we're happy to discuss this and go through all the
Yeah.
nitty-gritty of it. And
Because
see what
we
we
would definitely like to, I would like to simplify it,
Sure.
because your feedback is very valuable. I respect that.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Okay, great.
Good.
Jennifer,
Thank
I
you.
have to get to another meeting after this, so I
Yes.
don't think it
Yes.
lasts
So
too long, but
we've got-
I'm also available anytime after.
Amazing. Okay, yeah, so we've got probably another 5 or 7 minutes. Who is like desperate? You need-
Would you be able to share our contact information
Yes,
with everybody?
yeah.
Okay, so
the
everybody
UN
can
women,
like rest at ease and.
the UN women team will share everybody's contact details. Who is okay? Lady just in the corner there. Yeah.
Thank you.
You've got a minute, okay?
Yes. Hi, my name is Anupa, and I'm a proud mom of 2 girls. I'm representing a company called Bob Rock's Cookies. They are vegan, they're free of gluten, nuts, and refined sugar. And it's been founded by my daughter, who is 7 years old now, and joined by her sister, who is 5. They are Devi and Meera, and we also call them Bobby and Rocky, and together they are Bob Rocks. So it all started when Bobby was 4, and she saw this movie called Zootopia, and there's a cute little bunny which says, anyone can be anything. She was getting to 5, and she was like, Mommy, it says anyone can be anything, and I want to be a baker, and I want to sell my cookies. Both my girls have food intolerances, and so I always involve them into baking and cooking right from they were like babies. Cut to the girl, 4-year-old, who wanted to sell her cookies, to now she's 7. So last year, they participated into the Spinneys Small Business Incubator Program. My daughter, Devi, she single-handedly managed the whole presentation to the general manager of Spinneys, and they won the Spinneys Incubator Program. So we are now at a stage where we have 78 stores of Spinneys and Waitrose, where we get our cookies to go on the shelves of that. We also have schools ready to have the cookies on shelf. And it's been a very fascinating experience. We have organically grown. Our company was, my girls started with 700 dirham, and we earned and we invested, we earned and we invested, and that's how the whole packaging and the licensing and everything came in picture. So this is where I am with my girls. It's been last 2 months that I kind of dedicatedly got myself full-time into it, because it involves a lot of things, you know, right from HACCP. I've been learning a lot of things, right from HACCP certification to Food Watch to licensing to corporate accounts. So here we are, where we have the business ready. We have the outlets. There's a huge number expected when it comes down to delivering the number of cookies. And what do you think?
May I take this one?
Yeah.
First of all, what an amazing story.
Thank you.
That's, you know, you're a mom that's, you know, teaching their kids business, giving them the ability to pitch a presentation at such a young age, showing them they can do anything, even at a small
Absolutely.
age. That's what an amazing story. So, and also on the flip side, this is something that is becoming more and more an issue. When we grew up, I didn't have one kid or know anyone that had a gluten intolerance, peanut intolerance, et cetera. Now, more so than not, it's the case. Either we ignored it and we didn't know the issues back then, or this is a new phenomenon of kids. My nephew is gluten intolerant. His face is full of hives if he has any gluten, and my sister-in-law can't find him any food. And he's a young kid. He's 5. You can't get cookies. The simple thing is cookies, and she scours the world trying to find anything to give him some sort of joy, and like a cookie that will bring. So what you're doing is amazing. The ability that for you, if you can show you can do mass production cheaply, and show the margins that a bigger cookie company could do, phenomenal. People are willing to spend more for that because they have to, because they need to make sure their kids are safe and eating, especially those ones with intolerance. That's amazing. For you, scaling more products is key. The more and more products you can build onto your brand in terms of different types of cookies, etc., is what you're looking for. So something like, have you heard the company called Freaking Healthy? So they have so many different products that are in place. People like local products too, so that's also helpful. And the more stores, etc., that you can get to. So right now, your key is distribution, getting the name out, marketing, distribution to get to sell as many cookies as possible.
Excellent. What's the name of your cookie brand again?
It's called Bob Rocks Cookies. We have various flavors, any which ways. Yeah, you know what? The whole thing about going to Spinneys and Waitrose and going on the shelf, and the incubator program definitely kind of gives you a lot of leverage because the shelf space is free. A lot of things, the activation, there's no activation fees and everything. So it's a great opportunity. But as you said again, it's about, mass production and kind of, having a fun, fascinating project go onto a,
Because now you have to figure out how to manufacture it, cheaply. So you
Yes,
want to make sure you're making a good margin on that business.
True.
I'm going to say this is why we need female VCs, because she got you, she celebrated you, she saw you. And I think we need a lot more in that. On the other side, I didn't get the same feedback. I think it's a fantastic story, but my mind went into, okay, so you're doing, when you said vegan, gluten-free, sugar-free, etc., my total addressable market went smaller, and then
it's way bigger than you think it is.
There you go.
It's way bigger than you think it is. It's
and
a huge
then,
market
and
right
then
now.
the story was about your 2 beautiful daughters, and it was a beautiful story. But then when I got to that place where it's the quality of the food and why it's there, and I was thinking to myself, okay, what about older people that have cholesterols and have trouble and so on and so forth? Why couldn't they benefit from that cookie? So if we position this as just as a kid's story or for kids or cookies, so on and so forth, we're missing out on this huge other market that's available. And then I thought, you did such a fantastic job with training your daughters to promote themselves and do it. So then I was like, if she did that with cookies, what else could she do in terms of creating a program to empower young females to be able to build their own businesses and go out and market them and so on and so forth, and then go to schools and go to, take it to universities. Like, this is how my mind starts working about how we can take ideas and like blow them up a little bit. So I think fantastic that you're able to.
Would you give an opportunity for my girls to come and meet you and pitch their idea to you?
Yeah, I would love to see them.
Of course, if we can give any motivation to young entrepreneurs,
yeah,
I'd love to do
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Connections being made. Okay, last one. Okay, here. You need a microphone. And then we're going to wrap up. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Minka. I'm the founder of Turnip Education. It's an educational consultancy. I improved a lot of schools on their road to becoming outstanding to ensure every child has the opportunity to be successful. That's what I love to do most. I moved to the UAE 1.5 years ago, and I focused here on school marketing because I think UAE is not ready yet for consultancy. But then I found out in the schools that the owners of the schools, well, you can buy schools here. That's not very common in Europe, but it is here. And they don't know how to lead a school. They don't know anything about education, but they are the owner. And it's different to lead a school instead of a corporate business. So the next phase for my consultancy will be to buy schools. And to buy a school, I'm trying to find investors who will buy the school with me together. I know for sure that I can improve the school to outstanding, and there are not a lot of schools that are outstanding, especially in Abu Dhabi and LA. Dubai is better. So I will increase the enrollment, and besides that, they will also be part of, to contribute to, to become a very good educational system in the UAE. And they will also be part of a journey to transform a school from low performing to high performing. So that's my plan.
Good. For me, this is not an investment through MSA, but I know the perfect person for you who runs an educational fund that would love to talk to you, and they have the money to buy the schools, and you can do the turnaround, and you can both be a part of it. So
amazing.
I'll send you that contact.
Thank you so much.
That's perfect. It's exactly what they're looking for.
Look at this, the connections and the magic happen. Now, has everybody taken a picture here and done your little post
big
survey?
head is in the way, so.
Yeah, duck down, Walid.
I
So it's really important for UN Women and for NAMA Women Advancement that we have that. And the lovely Hiba from UN Women would like to say something. She always does. No, you need a microphone, Hiba. Come on.
Oh. Okay, so my head was in the right place.
Oh, Hiba's always causing problems. Okay, see Hiba for the QR code. Excellent. I would like to thank Sonia and Walid. Thank you so much for coming today, for sharing your experiences. Just before we wrap up, is there any last words that you would like to share with the group? Maybe Sonia?
Just hearing your stories right off the bat, it sounds like you have a very interesting and amazing companies that you're building. I hope we were helpful in some small way, but you'll get our contact information that if you need and if you have any questions or anything pops up, please let us know.
Yeah, thank you so much for showing up and for sharing your stories, and I hope it was informational and helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to UN Women and to NAMA. The support that they've been giving to women entrepreneurs in the UAE has been phenomenal. I think, we're very lucky to live in a country where we have opportunities like that. So thank you to them, and thank you to all of you for coming today. It's been really great to hear your stories and to have so much engagement. And here's to the next one. Hope to see you at the next UN Women NAMA event. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.